So an interval is a distance between two sounds, and you can look at the intervals horizontally on the guitar. You can say, for example, this is my C, that's D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. So you can look at your major second, that would obviously be your minor second, and you have your major third, your minor third will be right there, that's your fourth, and so on, your fifth, your sixth, and you can clearly see that an interval is a distance when you look at it like that. But now we're going to look at the intervals from the perspective, a vertical perspective of the scale patterns that we normally use. So let's say we take this pattern of the C major scale. Now, eventually you want to be able to play your scales all over the neck, but we're going to start with just C major and only one octave. So we have... So on this scale, so using this scale pattern, you can look at all the intervals from the root, just like we did on the previous lesson. So we go from C to D, that's your major second. Then from C to E, that's your major third. From C to F, that's your perfect fourth. From C to G, that's your perfect fifth. C to A, major six, major seven, and that's your octave. Now, if you can do that, now you can just use, moving one of the notes up or down by half step to find all the other variations of the intervals. For example, if that's a major third, that's a minor third. You also want to look at the fact that on the guitar, we need to realize all the time that, okay, this E flat can be played there, but it's also there. So it might be a good idea for you to say, that's a major third, it's there, but it's also there, right? Now you're thinking, okay, if that was my major third, that's my minor third, major third, minor third. Then you look at your fourth, perfect fourth. That's a perfect fourth, that's an augmented fourth, for example. That would be a diminished fourth, but of course a diminished fourth would be like a major third. Perfect fifth, our power chords. So, when you hear this in a song, what's that? Well, the interval there, it's a perfect fifth going to a diminished fifth. The diminished fifth creates, that's the tritone. That's that really interesting sound that is used in many styles of music. Then you look at the sixth. That's your major sixth. That's your minor sixth. You also want to look at it like that. Major six, minor six. Then you have your major seven, flat 7 or minor 7 interval. Now when you find this one, for example, you can say, okay, if I'm looking for a dominant chord from any root on the 5th string, I have my root there in any position, my flat 7 is there, my third is there, that's already a C7 dominant chord. This is called a shell also. And I do have a lesson on shells if you want to check it out on JamPlay.com. Then you can add other notes, of course. For example, that will be 1, 2, the 2 is the 9, so that will be a C9. We will get more into extensions later on. So take any of the patterns of the major scale that you know how to play and start looking at what these intervals look like so that you can start relating to them from the perspective of the scales that you play. You also want to look at your intervals horizontally, and I also have a lesson on horizontal intervals, but let's just take a quick look at a couple of them and the ways that you're going to use them. The thirds are very useful. You hear this kind of sound all the time. So this would be diatonic thirds. What does diatonic third mean? It's just that you're going up the scale and then you're following with the third for every note, but using the notes of the scale. So some of the thirds are going to be major, some are going to be minor. Major third, minor third. Remember the chords major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminish. Well, if you just take the thirds, it's going to be from the open strings here, we're going to get major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. And this one is not going to be diminished. Why? Because diminish, it becomes diminished when we add the flat 5, remember? Lingo. Here we're talking about just the interval between the root and the third, and that is a minor third. If we were doing the triads, which we will do later, you will have that as the diminished triad. So experiment with this and try to look at your intervals. You're going to be using thirds and sixes a lot. Remember that. And by the way, thirds and sixes, 3 plus 6 is 9. Every interval and its inversion equal 9. So the 2, if you turn it around, it's a 7th. See, that's a major 7, but if I put this note on top, it becomes a minor second. So a major 7 becomes a minor second. 2 plus 7 equal 9. If you take a 4th and you turn it around, so it's C, F, that's a 4th. But if I go F, C, now that's a 5th. 5 plus 4, 9. Thirds. You know, that kind of thing. A lot of nice sounds that you can find by using your intervals. The 6. So include some intervals and move them around the neck as part of your regular practicing routine, and I will see you in the next lesson.